The leader has been somewhat concerned with the rate of progress not only on the car, but on all the worlds we have taken this year. In his opinion, it seems it is taking longer to prepare planets for colonization than to conquer them, with the result that the colonization program has fallen behind schedule. The leader must realize that organizing the population into an adequate labor force is a time-consuming operation. The Gensa is still engaged in the removal of undesirables, and the Ministry of Labor has been functioning for only a month. Nevertheless, the feeling is that it is taking too much time. The leader wishes to settle 5 million colonists on the car within the next 6 months. Then perhaps the leader should consider creating a more realistic schedule. And perhaps you would like to tell him that? At any rate, the leader has sent Dr. Brekka here to test a possible solution to the problem. What kind of solution? I have created a new drug which will prove completely effective in breaking down all traces of individual will. It utterly supersedes my truth serums, which at any rate were useful only in the extraction of information. When administered to an entire population, it will allow them to be reprogrammed and ensure that they cooperate blindly and willingly with whatever we demand of them. You'll forgive me for my skepticism, Doctor, but you and your people have been trying to develop such a drug for years, and many, myself included, have come to regard such promises with less than enthusiasm. Then the results we have had in recent months should restore your faith, General. Experiments have already succeeded in erasing all ego structure in test subjects, and the leader is sufficiently encouraged by our progress to have agreed to the next logical step in the program, which is Dr. Brekka proposes to use the drug here on the car. I intend to administer the drug to the people of this planet in order to assess its long-term effects on an entire population. If the program is successful, then it will be adopted as standard occupation procedure and be instituted on every planet we conquer in the new territories. Personally, I fail to see the necessity for this drug of yours, Dr. Brekka. Military pressure alone is sufficient to keep any population in line. Perhaps in the old way of doing things. But the use of this drug will mean a revolution that will create new and more efficient methods of conquest. Tell me, General, what happens after a planet is taken and its population subdued? Most of the citizens surrender and accept our domination. But there are always those few who never bow and who seek to hamper our efforts at every turn. Why must men and materiel be expended to deal with these constant irritations when a simple chemical substance will prevent these irritations from developing in the first place? I might also add that there are races so misguided by notions of pride that they may actually choose collective death rather than accept our rule. And a dead worker is of absolutely no use to us. I realize that as a military man, you may not regard change as desirable, but even you would not wish to stand in the way of progress or logic. How is this drug to be administered on such a large scale? Quite simply, really. It will be introduced into the food supply in small doses. In less than 3 months, the cumulative effect should be enough to place the entire population under our complete control. Coercion and intimidation will then become a thing of the past, and in time, the military's role will be reduced solely to the initial invasion of a planet, where its devices can best be utilized. And the leader has sanctioned all of this? He has expressed full commitment to this project, General. What changes in policy result from this program, time will tell. But the scenario I have described should not be far from what eventually will occur. And what role am I and my men to play in this scenario? The implementation of this program will require your cooperation and the services of your men. The drug will be arriving on Nakar next week, and I will require facilities in which to carry out my work. Your orders, simply, are to render any assistance I and my team may require.
As you mentioned earlier, Dr. Brekka, I am a military man. I do not recognize orders from the scientific community.
Those are not my orders, General.
Consider those orders as coming from the High Command, General Skorr, as passed down from the leader himself. You are to cooperate fully with Dr. Brekka and provide his team with whatever it needs. Well, it seems you have managed to convince the leader, as well as others, of the soundness of your ideas, but I'm afraid you will have to try much harder to sell them to me.
Whether or not you embrace them is beside the point, General. The drug will be used. The leader has already decided that. And I believe it would be in your best interest to accept that reality and keep silent whatever objections you may have.